right, Samuel.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, I just want to say really quickly, I love the clarity in which you speak, very short and precise. I'll try and do the same. So my question really is, I'm traveling more for my business right now,
Mhm.
and I'm just trying to find a way to authentically build connections. I know probably the answer is to do it online, but for example, I'm traveling from my place of residence right now. I'm traveling to a new country, and
Mhm.
I'll be pitching different business ideas. So my question really is, how do I maintain the cultural context when
Mhm.
pitching just to make sure I don't sound maybe too pushy
Oh,
or
yeah,
too.
that's a great question. Number 1, I'd leverage LinkedIn and try to connect with people more in advance, right? For example, if I was gonna fly to Japan and try to close a deal there, I'm gonna leverage my network and see who has done deals in Japan because there's different cultural things. So, do you know anyone? Where are you going, and do you know anyone in that area that's done deals?
Yes. So actually, I do know someone. So I'm going to Dubai
Okay.
next month, and my sister lives there. So I do know someone. Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know if your sister's closing deals or not, but I would honestly maybe just put out a video or search certain like in the business that you're doing. Like let's say if I wanted to connect with somebody that's in the coaching business in Dubai, remember like LinkedIn's a search engine. So I could put like coach and then I could put Dubai and I could look at like the top coaches there and I could reach out to them and just say, "Hey, I have a question. What should I know?" And you may have to pay them for some advice, but usually when you reach out, people are fine to give some advice. But it's imperative because one little thing could cause you to completely miss out on a deal, just something that you wouldn't even know.
And just a follow up for you. So early on, maybe in your career when you were traveling, how do you make a decision as to this is the city? So I live in Toronto right now in Canada, right?
Mhm.
And I have a lot of different opportunities in the States, just proximity. New York, for example, you'd always find business there. But how do I center myself other than personal decisions and say, this is where I'm setting up my business? And because right now it's easy to work from the beach as everyone's trying to do right now. But how do I make some of those decisions? Do you have any insight on that?
Are you asking, like, where do you personally set up or where do you go for deals? And I guess tell me a little bit about what you do so I could understand why you need to travel to close deals.
So I work in marketing.
Yeah.
My background is in software development, but I've transitioned into marketing since just about 2017.
Okay.
So right now, for example, in Dubai, I'm going to chase a deal in the tea business. So
Okay.
that required me to, I have some contacts there. I made some connections beforehand, as you had said. So I'm just trying to expand. So I have one business that I'm chasing there, and I'm trying to expand beyond that.
Yeah. Is that what you enjoy, getting deals internationally and stuff? Do you like that?
Yes. So,
What do you mean you guess?
yeah, just hearing myself speak out loud is giving me, or hearing you ask the questions is giving me insight about what I want to do. So I definitely enjoy traveling, but
Okay.
the decision I guess I'm trying to make right now is, do I set stall here? And because I feel maybe I feel I've achieved what I needed to achieve here, because just the technology right now is so good such that you could travel. I just want to make that decision just for the sake of, oh, I enjoy making international deals. I was asking, in terms of your early on experience,
Yeah.
how do you make some of those decisions from a personal level, but also in terms of business?
In the beginning, you have less leverage, right? Because you have less leverage, you need to go to where people are more often. I would do it based on the opportunity that was at stake. And the bigger the stake, obviously, the more likely that I was going to travel. I hope that answers the question. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yes, it does. And thank you so much. I'll
Okay.
pass it on to
No,
someone else.
no, and then for the second part of your question, it's really a personal decision. For me, I don't like to travel for deals, and I like to stay hyper focused, especially during us building and doubling, tripling, whatever the business. I like to stay focused, and for me, travel is energy leakage.
Yes.
It messes with my focus, it messes with that. So, I made the personal decision to not travel. My business partner's on stage, and I want him to answer your question too because he travels more.
He's
So
laughing. Yeah.
right? But that's a personal decision for me, like, I know where I thrive. So, if you find that you're more fulfilled when you travel, you love to experience these new cultures, One of the things that I would advise you to do is just share your travels more. It's going to attract more international businessmen that also travel nonstop and things like that because it's just going to attract them. But let's say you hate it for some reason, just want to stay more local and you want to just be in New York because you love New York, then I would start making almost like a transition like, hey, within the next 12 months, I'm going to stop all international travel. And maybe for 6 months, it's going to cut into your revenue. But you almost have to prepare what can you do to hedge that difference, right? And maybe what you do is you start building a personal brand so that you have to rely less on outbound and going places and position yourself to where they have to come to you.
Wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, good question. I tend to look, as so often in business, I tend to look at signals. What are cities, what are countries that just for whatever reason in the business aspect keep popping up? What are names you keep hearing? So for me, for example, it is interestingly enough is Bali, because a lot of content creators seem to choose Bali as a way to just relax. I hear Dubai a lot because obviously great deals are made in Dubai. And one city that keeps popping up for me over and over is also Amsterdam because of its strong location and talent. So, what I do then is, for example, in next month, I will spend an entire month in Amsterdam. And what I do at that time is I use this wonderful platform, LinkedIn, to do some research. And if you think about it, when you create content and you have someone from a different continent post or comment on your content, that is very flattering, right? So I focus on building up a virtual relationship with someone I want to meet before I go there. And I achieve that by just being very interesting in how I comment and the questions I ask. The other thing I do is I go to my network, people I like to do business with, and I ask them, hey, I'm going to spend a month in Amsterdam. Do you have anyone you think I should meet? And if you do that with enough people that you respect, you will obviously get great connection. By the way, if anyone here in the room is in Amsterdam, hit me up.
Oh, wow. That is really wonderful. I took notes for sure. And I specifically am interested in when you said, for example, content creators, and there's
Mhm,
always items popping up in a certain place, so you keep an eye on them, right?
mhm.
That is wonderful for me as somebody who works in marketing, because does that mean then I'll also join in the crowd, or do I now pick my own niche where people maybe are not looking at? Maybe let me go to Nairobi in Kenya, where maybe there's less traffic, but I know certain content creators from there are maybe underlooked.
100%. And also in Toronto, most likely a lot of your network don't know much about the market in Nairobi, but because of your affinity to it, to that place, you do. So it's definitely, it makes sense. And if that somehow keeps popping up, we all know that in Africa, a lot of the business opportunities for the next decade will definitely predominantly grow there. So might as well have a presence there early enough.
Thank you once again. I feel like I've hogged the stage a little bit, so
I
I'll
mean,
pass it on to
hey,
someone else.
I don't see anyone else raising their hand. So, yeah, thanks, Samuel. I think at the end of the day, the last thing that you want to do is get into a business that you feel caged in. And I see this a lot. People will make business decisions just based on the money opportunity that's right in front of them. And then they get trapped in something that they hate and that is dangerous territory. I would not advise that. I'd really try to practice some self-awareness and courage because maybe what you want is completely different than what you have now and there's going to be changes and people are going to judge you whatever, but really be hyper self-aware of what fulfills you because if it's going to be a treacherous thing for you to get up and work in your business every day, you're going to lose against the person that wakes up in their business every day, has that self-awareness and has modeled and gotten into a model of business where they just wake up feeling energized and fulfilled. It's going to be impossible for you to beat that person because you're in a system that doesn't align with your internal desires. I see that a lot in business, and it's
That's a very
unfortunate.
I was gonna say that's a very good point, Shanae. I think we should be committed to creating wealth, committed to making money, committed to providing for ourselves and our families through the vehicle of being in business. But you don't necessarily have to commit it to just one business, especially if you evolve as a business person. It's just sometimes necessary to expand. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, and that's if you find yourself more entrepreneurial and you could do that. But there's, if you look at the richest people on earth, there's some people that have done it by investing in multiple businesses. And then there's people that have just continued more like Elon style that have made big risks, bet on themselves, and really put all into one thing at a time. There's no right or wrong. It's just what works best for you. It's the internal self awareness. For me, I can only focus on one thing at a time and give my all to one thing at a time. And that's just how I'm designed. And knowing that, I pour into one thing at a time. And knowing even what style of business, there's people that come to me, they're like, I want to launch a group coaching program. And after 10 minutes of talking to them, we find that every time they've done a group moderation or group this, they hate it and it just stresses them out. And so someone like that maybe loves the one-on-one, or maybe doesn't like interacting with people that much at all and just loves to teach, and maybe they would just do better building digital assets like online courses and ebooks versus actually running programs live like a school. And there's no right or wrong. It's just what's right or wrong for you. Because again, if you choose a model that you cannot sustain, and if you choose a model where it feels like an uphill battle every single day, then you will never be able to compete against someone that what they're doing is truly where they thrive and what they love, and they're willing to do it every single day. And they just have that vigor. And you'd be surprised that vigor alone and that excitement and passion alone leads through their content, their one-on-one prospect calls, their one-on-one meetings, and makes a difference in every single way versus someone that's just, it's good enough.